And there is the first complication of the evening. I didn't press live. Sorry to keep you waiting. Evening, everyone. No one's watching, but hopefully some people will come on. I'm Ross Bailey. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for tuning in. Pedro, check your guitar and voice levels prior to the live stream. Previous streams, the voice was barely audible. Yeah, I've kind of been doing some testing with this. Let me know that everything is cool. I'm still setting the studio up. Hopefully technology is my friend today, and levels are cool, and there's no distortion, and the screen's cool, and all that other good stuff. But I am on Wi-Fi, and I am in the UK. So, you know, it's a kind of a mess at the moment. So, yes, Ross Bailey, thanks again for tuning in. I'm going to talk about Helix and recording with Helix. So, my needs for recording guitar are really simple. I need a guitar and I need a Helix and some way to monitor it. And that's kind of how I've got things set up in here. And we'll cover real basic setup, getting into your DAW, some more advanced stuff. We'll cover reamping, and some really some other cool things that I've kind of found along the way, and the way I've got it set up in here at the moment. Like I say, it's still kind of new. I've still got some patching to do and all that, but it's going to be cool. We're going to have some other product specialists in the chat as well, hanging out with us. Say hi. Again, any issues with the sound, just let me know, and I'll see if I can fix it on the fly. I will keep trying to keep on top of the comments and answer as many as I can. But like I said, we've got Nick Bell, we've got Doug Brown, got Tony Campanovo in there as well. All awesome guys, all very knowledgeable, and possibly more knowledgeable than me on the recording side. Like I say, my needs are fairly simple, but I think a lot of people's are. So we just want to get the absolute basics and then some cool stuff covered. So let's see. So yeah, we've got all the guys hanging out. Evening, everyone. Pedro, voice is okay. Okay, cool. That's a good start. We'll see what the guitar's like when we get to it. Pavel, hello from Poland. Hello. All sounds fine. Great. India's tuning in. Latency? With recording? No, absolutely not. Hi, the man has requested and we aim to please. There we go. Jeremy, I couldn't possibly comment. There we go. John Cordy in the house. Go check out John Cordy's channel. He's cool. Play a couple of notes, you know. There we go. So, getting set up to record. So you need a Helix. And whatever Helix you're running, it doesn't matter. They all work as audio interfaces. Yeah, technically with the exception of the HX effects. But if you've got a rack, an LT, a floor, or a stomp, happy days. You can just USB into your computer. Jobs are good. And if you're on a PC, you'll need the latest drivers. Just line6.com for those. Go check them out. Get those downloaded. If you're on a Mac, and I'm on a Mac, you just literally plug it in and you're good to go. So that's pretty cool. Your DAW of choice, and away you go. I have started using Cubase, but I'm still kind of getting my head around it. It's a lot more advanced than anything I would ever use. So I'm still figuring it out. So I'm going to use GarageBand because it's quick and it's simple. And if you're on a Mac, it's free as well. So that's pretty cool. So the first thing we want to do is open up our DAW. So we're going to go to the DAW, which is here. Right, so we're just going to open an empty project. Happy days. Right. So let me shrink this down so I can see you guys as well. And make sure everything is cool. Right, so what we need to do, we need to go into the preferences. I'm not actually sure you can see this, but we need to go into the preferences, audio and MIDI, make sure the output device and input device got all this other stuff in there. We need to ignore that, make sure it's Helix audio, and that's it. Simple as that. Line 6 Helix tone match, I set latency at 256 and it works fine for me. Fantastic. Yeah, again, there's kind of the deeper settings depending on which DAW you're using, I guess. With GarageBand, it's just real simple, and I do kind of like that. So we're going to go in, and the input here, Helix Audio, because we're recording USB, that's obviously doing something weird. Let me do that again. Don't show these. And there we go. Right. So yes, you can see down here, Helix Audio, because we're recording USB, you've actually got 8 channels of audio with Helix, which is really cool. We just want to be on 1 and 2 for now. We'll kind of cover why you would want others in a minute. But all we want to do, set a tempo. We've got a click track in there. Kind of sounds like that. And we want to get a sound. So I'm going to pull up a sound here. I'll stop sharing that. I'll show you my HX edit. Which is here. We've got some presets. I'm going to go to my main preset here. And just kind of a nice dirty. I'm going to take that gain down a little bit. And just for the benefit of anyone that is interested, I'm using a Pacifica. It's a Pacifica, Yamaha Pacifica 612V. It's in indigo and it's really cool, and you can't really see, but look at that for me. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And it needs some new strings and it's really dusty. Brian, I bought the HD500X to learn what effects pedals I want to buy. I bought all the effects I like, and I find myself still wanting to use Pod over on my new pedals because it has more options. And you know what? Yeah, absolutely. I've got a bunch of stuff myself, and it's easy to just go back to Helix or Pod or whatever, and because yeah, you get more options. You can actually save different settings and all that rather than bending down and turning knobs. Pedals are still fun. What can I say? Unfortunately, you know, having all of the million pedals in the world in Helix never stops you wanting pedals. Might stop you using them though. So we've got a sound. Does that sound any good, by the way? Can you hear that? There's a little bit of a delay, so I'll give it a sec. Can you hear the guitar okay? Versus my voice, because I know the, like I said, we had a comment about the levels being a little bit skew-if. Hopefully that's coming through. And there's no moans or groans yet. Sounds good to me. Awesome, Brian. Thank you very much. So, let's go back to GarageBand. Right, got ya. Okay. Shrink this down so I can see everyone at the same time. There we go. Right, cool. So we've got the audio track plugged in. I've selected USB 1 and 2. Like I said, the theory behind this is the same whether you're using full Helix. I'll just call that Randy. Guitar is hotter than the voice on YouTube for me at least. Okay, I will turn the guitar down ever so slightly. John says all good. There we go. Right, the theory, again, like I say, is the same whether you're using Helix Rack or LT or Floor or HX Stomp. You just plug it in USB. You'll find it in your DAW as your audio interface, and then you just come out to headphones or to studio monitors, which is what I have here. So we've got a count in, and we've got a tempo, and there's the tempo. Right, so I'm just gonna, this is going to potentially be an epic failure, but let me just turn that click track up a little bit. Metronome. There we go. Right. So let's, and all we do, one thing I want to do actually is just configure this track header to show record. Boom. There we go. So we've got record, we're enabled to record, and then I hit record. Easy as that. And that'll play back. Awful, but yeah, we've recorded a track, and it's that simple. It really is that simple. You hit record, and your guitar records. You select the preset, and you go. If we want to add something to that, we just add another track. Hit record. Make sure that's not recording. Record on that bad boy, and change the sound to. I'm going to add more gain because why not? Show screen. Sorry. I'm terrible at multitasking. There we go. And then we record again. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to do that again because that was awful. Get the metronome. There we go. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And play it back. And we want to remix it. Basic recording. It's as simple as that. Check the comments. What do you mean when HX crashes with connection interrupted text? And Nick Bell's got that one. Yes, try not using a hub, even though I'm breaking the rules because I've got a USB-C connection on here, so I've got to use a hub. But yeah, try not to use a hub. Nick's got your back there. So that's basic recording. We've just recorded 2 tracks there. We've set it up. We've done some basic recording. Now we can get a little bit more interesting with this. So keep sharing my screen so you're just not looking at me randomly looking at a screen in front of me. Okay. So turn that off. Right, so we've got 2 tracks of audio here. Both are RC and Helix. Now, if I want to record one, on that to record it, fantastic. And then record the second one separately, fantastic. Okay? What I actually want to do, there's something called reamping. Okay? So what that means is I can actually record a guitar part with whatever preset I've called up, but also record a dry kind of DI guitar part. Now, previously, what you would do is you would have a DI box and you will go into that, and then you will go out to your amp and then out separately to the desk or recording software or whatever. And that will record a dry guitar part. You would then get a separate box to then send that signal back out of your back out of your DAW into an amp or some software or whatever to tweak the sound after the fact. So if you're not super into recording guitar, you might not kind of get the right sound straight away. It might sound awesome initially, but then when you put all the rest of the elements together, it can not sit in the mix, or you might have to go EQ afterwards. So reamping is a really useful thing. So I'm going to show you that now. So what we want to do, we've got track 1, Helix Audio 1 and 2. I'm dropping my pick. Go to Audio 2. I'm going to change this to 7 and 8. Now, the reason I'm doing that, the reason I'm doing that, Helix records, if you record in USB, it records the DI track or the dry guitar part on USB channels 7 and 8. So I can actually record 2 completely separate guitar parts, and you can go much more in depth with that, with different routing and all that within Helix, but we're going to keep it fairly simple today, so we're just not getting terribly into it. But you can play around with this and find some really cool stuff. So what we want to do, we want to record 2 guitar parts at the same time and then incorporate Helix Native, so I can then program the sound afterwards. So I'm going to go back to GarageBand. There we go. So we've got Audio 1 is on 1 and 2, so I'm going to go wet guitar, and then Audio 2 I'm going to go guitar DI. Boom, right. So I want both tracks. This is a challenge for me because I'm colorblind, so I can't quite see what it is, but there we go. Right, now that's interesting. So I've got my volume turned down. I'll show you what I'm looking at on the floor. This is what I'm looking at on the floor. So this is my kind of floorboard setup. Here's one I made earlier. It's just so I'm using a Helix rack, and the controller's on the floor, and I've got the Mission expression pedal hooked in on there as well, because it's awesome, and I can do volume and wah and all other shenanigans. Back to GarageBand. No, not that one. That one. There we go. Right, so got the volume turned down. So you'll see those levels. If I turn the volume down on my wet guitar channel, so channels 1 and 2, you'll see there's nothing, but you'll see it's still coming through the DI, because that is always on. That's always going to be, and that's just a basic signal. You'll hear that in a second. So here we go. And I need coffee. There we are. Right. Let's record 2 things. Awful. Unfortunately, reamping does not sort your playing out. You kind of got to have that on. So here we are. Now, if I just loop this, it's going to be awful. Right. So that's the wet guitar. I don't know if you can hear that. So that's the DI. That's what it sounds like direct. Really boring. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to go into my plugins, and I'm going to add something like, there we go. I'm going to add Helix Native. Because why not? Keep all the comments. Need to check global settings on Helix before recording. Yes, Alex. I'm going to shut you on there. Yes, you absolutely do. There's various kind of different settings within Helix as well, for USB outs and USB trims and all manner of things. So yeah, do make sure you get that. So back to here. So we've got Helix Native lined up as just the basic presets. So I'm actually going to delete all of those blocks, because I can. I'm going to build something from scratch. So you'll see, because I've got this just on that DI track, not on the wet guitar track, I've got nothing. So it sounds really dull and lifeless and boring. So we're going to add an amp and a cab, and I'm going to add something kind of crunchy. Let's go with that. Like that. Straight out of the box. Add a bit of boost. Let's add kinky boost. Room reverb. Now that versus the original track. It's a little crispier. It's a little bit warmer. Native not showing. Right. Apologies for that, Pedro. Not sure why that is. Not too important, because I just added an amp and a room reverb and the kinky boost, and that's kind of what it looked like. Strange that didn't show up in GarageBand. Yeah, apologies. But you can, if you got a Helix, then you can get a Helix Native cheap, and it's a useful thing to have if you are doing this. So that, my friends, is basic reamping. And it's a really useful thing, and you can do it quite easily. Any other comments that I've not got to? In the studio, you've got to have a big mug of coffee or loads of beer, but I'm on the clock, so there we go. Hopefully that all makes sense so far. So what I want to talk about now is kind of how I've got Helix set up in my studio at the moment, and more importantly, USB-A seems to have no signal. Yeah, it's just recording one track of mono, basically. Roberto, there you go. How I've got Helix, I want Helix. I don't want to go out and buy another interface and have all this stuff. I mean, you know, in the words of our favorite Swedish guitar player, more is more, and more gear is always cool. But I want to kind of try and keep things fairly simple and concise. And the really cool thing, so I'm using a Helix rack, and I will show you my little rack of doom here. There we go. Right, so that is my little rack of doom that's there. That's sat right there. So I'm using Helix rack, and because Helix has built-in effects loops, that means I can also use Helix rack or Helix floor. If you want to stick with the Helix floor, I can use that as my central patch bay. You'll see a lot of patch bays in studios and having all sorts of things going in and out. So I've got three of my kind of all-time favorite preamps, because preamps are cool. Thanks Big Hairy Guitars for making me spend loads of money on preamps. So I've got a Boogie Triaxis, I've got an Old 80A MP1 and a Marshall JMP1, and they each kind of have a character and do certain things, and it's as simple as that. I'm going to spin the camera round, because that's, you'll see, yes, that's just three, and I've got some more rack spaces over here, which I could have other things in, but I kind of play guitar, and in my studio here I want to be recording guitar, and I don't want to be recording anything else. So what I've done, I spin the camera around, in another effects loop I have this little setup here. So I've got a nice little selection of amps. You see the leg of the little Gobi thing there. So I've actually got how it's rigged up. So in three of the effects loops I've got my rack systems, my rack preamps, and then in the final effects loop that actually goes out to the front, and I can just quickly and easily patch this in. I need to get another switcher and some more stuff, but so that goes into the front of whichever amp I want to go into, and then the speaker out goes to, I have a 2 notes captor, a torpedo captor that's acting as a reactive load, line out of that back into Helix, and then that feeds in IR. So I don't need to go and spend a fortune on a box that actually just does that on its own, because I've already got IR loading in Helix, which is pretty cool. Let me show you my preset, what that looks like. There we go. The rack stuff preset. So you'll see I've got a wall built in, a bunch of different gain boxes, a little compressor. I've got my 4 effects loops. I do have an amp model in there that I can just load in from time to time. I've got an IR, which I'm currently using the Own Hammer Friedman 412. I've got volume pedals, chorus because 80s, ping pong delay because 80s, and then spring reverb. I'm going to change that to room just because I can, more than anything. I kind of tend to use a room reverb more than anything. So that's it. That's the guitar going through an IR and a bit of room reverb. It's fairly boring. I'm going to put the preset on now. Amp model, not the preset, the preset's on, the amp model. I'm actually going to change that amp model for something else. I'm going to go for the matchstick because it's awesome. And you'll see I can put on a little boost pedal. Distortion box. That's the Hedgehog. A fuzz. Or a compressor. Turn the amp model off, and then that is right. So that is actually one of the amps. That's the Boogie Lone Star. So that's going into the amp, out of the amp into the 2 notes torpedo captor, line out back into Helix into this effects loop here. And then through this IR, and I can add the delay to that if I want. So that one's the track access. For some reason, a really noisy MP1. And then the JP1, which again is not very well. None of my gear seems to be very well at the moment. And I've still got access to all of these stomp boxes, so I can still kick on that kinky boost. Which is really cool. Which means I don't need to kind of buy any external patch bays or super duper expensive switching systems or anything like that, because I've sort of already got it. I do need a load box for what I want to do, so I've got one of those, which is the 2 notes. But this is the beauty with Helix. It's kind of it does so many different things in so many different situations. For me at the moment, it's because none of us are gigging. It's kind of my home studio setup, and it's got everything kind of rigged in. The only thing I don't have super rigged in is the tube amps at the side of me, which I really use, to be honest, anyway. But that's just a quick kind of speaker cable out of that one, plug it into that one, and then change the input jack, and jobs are good. So that's really cool. Normally, I've got it set up slightly different for this, but normally because obviously the Helix rack and the floor and everything has a mic input, so I would have a mic plugged in, so if I did want to pull out a real cab and mic that up, I can do that. If I want to record vocals, I can do that real quick. I've been filming some videos, so I've been playing guitar and having my voice running through Helix, recording with that simultaneously. Each kind of got their own different path, which is awesome. And obviously you've got the Variax connection as well, so excuse me, so you can actually have a Variax ready and just have that through the VDI cable plugged in, ready to go, happy days. If you didn't have any external preamps like what I'm using here, then you can quite easily turn that into, you know, your favorite external effect. You know, there's still effects loops, obviously can be instrument level or line level. And I think this is a really cool thing with whether it's Helix Rack or the Helix Floor, and to an extent the LT, and to an extent the Stomp as well. You can do similar things. You know, obviously you're a little bit more limited with the LT and the Stomp as far as the ins and outs go, but you can still do it. There's absolutely no problem with you having an HX Stomp on your desk, main outputs to your monitors, and using the two effects loops in there to patch out to an external amp with a load box or an external preamp, or as you probably normally do, just have your pedal board under the desk, USB out, happy days, job's good. Pedro, there we go. Right, how does the input from each amp connects to the load box? The load box has four outputs going to each of the four effects loops. No, so the four effects loops, 3 of those effects loops are taken up with the 3 rack preamps, in case you missed that. That is there. So that's my rack. So Helix Rack, boom. Boogie Tri-Axis, AMP1. I'm a child of the 80s, what can I say? JMP1 on there. So that, 3 of the effects loops are taken up there. The other effects loop, that goes out. See if I can spin this around ever so slightly. So they come out from there and go under my desk, and then cables behind Darth Vader. And at the moment I'm going in here, so input, the send is going into the input, and I can just get that and put it into any of the others, even the THR. The speaker output from the amp, that goes to the 2 notes, and then the line out here comes out back into the return of Helix Rack, and yeah, that's it basically. That's how I've got it set up. I need to remember my camera's there, not there. That's the screen. I'm looking at you, not you. So you know, you can do it with any of the Helix devices except HX Effects. How I want to kind of have this rigged up basically is, so that final loop that has this, that goes into get a couple more load boxes, basically 1 for each amp, and then a little switcher, have an HX Effects for front end effects, just so I can, you know, save DSP or whatever. Pedro missed the thing. And done, and that's basically it. I'll try not to waffle. Scott says Rockton Piranhas are pretty nice too. Yeah, I've never had one, but I've heard the demos, and it's on the list if any of you have watched Michael Nielsen's channel. Yeah, that dude's got some preamps and makes you want to spend money, which is bad. Don says, can you go over using SPDIF out to an interface? To an interface, if you have an SPDIF in, then as far as I'm aware, and I've never done this, I've never used SPDIF or ASEBU in my life, but as far as I'm aware, it should literally, if you're using an external interface with an SPDIF in, it should be a case of just take the cable from Helix into that, and that's it. Again, as someone commented earlier, make sure that you check your levels in the, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Let me, right, okay, so we want to go in here, global settings, and then ins and outs. We've got a bunch of stuff, so you send the returns, they can be instrument level or line level. Reamp source, USB 7, there you go. Right, someone commented earlier, yeah, so USB 7 is for your guitar, USB 8 is for your mic. So yes, you can reamp your mic as well if you felt the need. SPDIF digital in and out. Yeah, so you can actually choose SPDIF or ASEBU, and then you actually have a separate output level for that. So that's all in your global settings, and change the sample rate, and clock source, and all that good stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. GM SPDIF works great with something like the Scarlett 6i6. Fantastic. There you go. Like I said, I've kind of personally, I've never needed to, because whenever I've recorded with a Helix, other than if I've gone to an external studio and taken it, where I would go out through XLRs for sure. I've never needed it because I've been recording USB, so it's digital anyway, and I'm really boring like that, and that's okay. It's okay to be a little bit boring. Remember that, kids. I think that kind of covers it. Hopefully, I've covered it. Hopefully, there's no questions left. If there are, fire away quick, because I'm about to go. And that's it. So, Helix Rack, Helix Floor, Helix LT, HX Stomp. Fantastic. Any of those will be a recording interface. Get recording, right? Get that difficult first album written while we're on lockdown, if you're on lockdown. And if you are, hope you're safe and well and staying healthy and fit, and not eating as many pies as I am doing. Real simple. Go for it. Go get recording. Every week we're going to be doing one of these. Can't remember who we've got coming up next week. It's going to be either Nick or Doc or Tony, and covering some of the 3.0 features, which I didn't really need today. So not so much a 3.0 stream, just to kind of look how cool these units are. Go get one. If you don't have one, go get one. You can get Helix Native cheap, and there's kind of different deals on as well. For that across the world, so wherever you are, you will get sorted. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for coming to hang out. If anyone's missed this and watching later, I'll try and keep an eye on the comments and try and reply to any questions you may have. Like I say, keep your eyes out every week. Every Tuesday we're going to be doing these, same time, same place, same time. Nick, Doc and Tony hanging out, going through some stuff. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. See you again. Cheers.